Mega Dads Live is a mature-rated podcast. It's for the Mega Dads, the Mega Moms, but not the Mega Kids. So put on those earmuffs and let's go!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Mega Dads Live. I'm Antonio, aka Hypecaster, joined here by my illustrious co-host, Evan. How are you doing,
again.
Evan?
I'm here. I'm alive, and I'm like 60% a fan of that. So we'll just say that.
All right. Sounds good. Evan's life is incredibly interesting right now, and we'll get into that. Yes,
it is.
But in other breaking news, we have a new Megadad joining us. We have Jonathan with us. You're gonna love Jonathan. I spoke with him a few seconds before the show for the first time, and me and him just clicked. So we got it. Brand new Megadad, ladies and gentlemen. Say hi to the people, Jonathan.
Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan. Good to see ya. Burn the Midnight's my tag on Discord for the Megadads if you are on there. But yeah, no, super excited. Really thrilled to be here. I've been chatting with Evan for a while, and if I look distracted, it's because I'm watching the cat, because that's what I do in social situations.
Okay, good. Okay, so you have a cat. You have a live cat, and Evan has a live cat in his feed. I do not have a cat, which means that I have to get a cat. So
do you want one of mine? I would gladly give you. I would ship it.
Put it in the budget. Adam is not here. He's getting a Brazilian wax, so he's off this week. He actually
Speaking of cats.
Oh, there's the cat. He popped into the feed. Adam's Brazilian had an issue, so that's why he cannot be here this week. Didn't go right, so they're gonna do corrective surgery on his nether regions to fix his Brazilian that didn't go right. Mabel is also under the weather. She's got COVID, but nobody gives a shit, so we're moving on. I really wanted to ask Jonathan a couple questions since he's brand new, just to have the people kind of get to know you. You know, like Megadads is all about family. It's all about being older, being a gamer from when you're young all the way to when you've had kids, and trying to hold on to that, because it can be quite a time consuming, quite a money consuming hobby, really, gaming. So it's hard to stick with it. So I wanted to ask you a couple of the basics and maybe a couple curveballs. Jonathan, what's your favorite game of all time? Hands down. This is the game that when I think of gaming and why I love gaming, this is the game that made me fall in love. What game would you say?
So it's pretty typical. Favorite game of all time is going to be Fallout 3. It's going to be a later in life game. It's not going to be one of the ones that I had in my childhood. But the reason why is whenever I first played the game, I never really played Fallout or anything like that. But I was living with my parents at the time. My dad had a projection screen, 100 inches up on the wall. I would just sit right there in the recliner, put out Fallout 3, and just go, hunt some Yao guys to go, wrestle and hit unarmed and all that sort of stuff. So no, it was a blast, and that's really, whenever I think about like gaming and things like that, that's what I remember. I was just late into the night just playing that, just on a huge screen, all green everywhere, that sort of stuff. So it was good. So no, Fallout 3 is gonna be the favorite. I think New Vegas is like the better game, but no, 3 is my favorite.
I love 3. Of all the Fallouts, I have to go back and say that 3 is my favorite. Like I think the writing was really good. The combat, like the map density, really lent to there being kind of action around every corner. And what a game. And I was gonna say, when you were like, oh, this is typical, I don't think a lot of people say that that's their favorite game of all time. Like I was expecting like a Mario 64 or like something like that, but I'm impressed. You got kudo points from me, so this is good. What kind of build do you usually do in Fallout?
You know what? I'm usually like the most paragon person ever. It's really hard for me to do anything that's like a negative karma or anything like that. So I'm usually like I'll go for like the knight type thing, and so
Nice.
and just go as good as I can and try to befriend everyone, romance everyone, all that sort of stuff.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Now, you may be thinking, ladies and gentlemen, that a brand new Megadad joining the team would be the biggest news that we have, the most salacious news that we have. But no, there is new spawn that has been birthed out of Evan. Evan is a new dad again.
It wasn't out of me, for the record.
It was out of his loins. It was crazy. Evan,
Well, that's
straight
true.
from Cronenberg.
you had another baby, didn't you, Evan?
I did. No, we were talking this before the show. The last 2 months have been kind of nuts because over the course of 3 days, I went from an unemployed father of one to an employed father of two. It was like I was literally at my new job 2 days before the second child was born. Unexpectedly, it was about a month early. So that was a fun night. But yeah, everyone's good now. I have a screaming infant upstairs now, and I'm remembering why I don't miss that. That like at this
They're
point,
so cute at that point, and then they make noise.
Yeah, it's and the real for a long time I've always said I don't trust anything I can't reason with or pick up, and I've amended that where now it's just if I can't reason with you, I have no trust in you. And so the child is just first off, he's very much a mama's boy, which is annoying.
Oh wow.
You take him away from mom and he screams, so that's not fun. But it's like I said, I don't miss, or I didn't miss this part of it. There's obviously a lot of great stuff, especially now, and especially given kind of how chaotic it was that first week, because we were dealing with NICUs and all sorts of that stuff. And so things have obviously calmed down, but now it's like, oh yeah, we gotta feed this dude like every couple hours.
Ouch.
And I can't like talk, I can't like talk to him. It's like like now we've got to a good place with my oldest, who's 3.5, and like we can carry on conversations and it's great. Well, I guess that's good and bad in some cases, but in this one, he's just this screaming potato that is in my house, and but it's good. It's good, and like I said, I got the new job too, so it was. Yeah, I'm very tired.
I got
if I just nod off in the middle of the show, just don't worry about that. That'll be
Evan. You say that you're tired, but I'll be honest with you, completely honest. You look good. Like if you're listening on the audio podcast feed, I would challenge you to go to the YouTube. We do the video version of the podcast. You look good. Like before,
I want to apologize at the beginning of the show. I was trying to fix the glare that's coming off the top of my head but I was trying to wear a hat, but it's not fitting with the headphones, so I was very distracted.
It looks like you've been like working out or losing weight, or like you look vibrant. Whereas before, when we were doing the show, like I was really worried. I was like, this guy is on his last leg. But now, post baby, all of a sudden you have a glow. It's weird.
Oh well, that's good.
It's probably the job.
Honest to God, a lot of it is. I mean, my old job I was looking for a new job for about 10 years.
Whoa.
By the time that they had fired me, so like I was already well on my way out the door, and it was really rough, and I honestly believe that if I still had that job when my kid was born, having to go through all of that stress plus the stuff that was going on at work, there's no way I would have survived it, and I mean that literally. It would have been bad, and but thankfully I got this new job, which I really like. It's much more my speed.
Nice.
I love the people involved, and it's out of corporate world, which is lovely for me. And thankfully, we're recording this shortly after the big crowd strike issue.
D-Day.
And and I'm really glad I don't work at my old place, because that would have been a complete nightmare. Whereas this was a tiny nightmare at my new job. So, but thank you. I feel very old. Infants age you like a decade a week.
So maybe it won't last. Maybe it won't last.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'll snap back and all that. But thank you. And you're all looking fine as well, I should say.
Well, that brings me to the next part of our show, which
between
is
between the three of us, we have a complete beard.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah. Got the mustache and the horn.
John's got
and
the
then
mustache.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seriously, watch the video version, people. You're missing out.
Don't.
If you don't see our mugs, you're missing out.
You're gonna see how horrible my office is. Right?
The vibes are good on this podcast right now. I think that it's time for. That's right, Mega Dads being super positive. This is the segment of the show where we try to be positive. It's super hard to do this. We've been struggling to do this segment, I would say, for a good at least a year, where it's like before we were just like, hey, this is a good thing, we could bring it up, but now it's just like, I don't know. I'm like looking out of left field for something. Like, I'm really trying to think outside the box about what could be positive, because things are so shitty, but this is when we need to do it. So let's keep it up. Adam's not here. I know he would want us to keep the super positive segment up. So I'll start with Evan, and you could go ahead and
Sure.
You can go ahead and reiterate, because I know you already mentioned some good stuff that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, obviously the job and the kid are great, but in general, and I know we've talked about this before, to me in these times, it is about finding those small victories, the small, the small bennies, just kind of throughout in your life. And this has been my favorite story of the last couple of weeks, just because it appeals to a very, very geeky side of me. I'm that guy that they make special features on DVDs for. Like, I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I've lamented this push toward more streaming stuff. Like, you don't get the director's commentaries. You don't get that kind of stuff when it's on Netflix and things like that. You got to actually have them released. So I love it. Exactly. And so I love it when somebody does something really interesting with special features-y kind of things. And so the latest Planet of the Apes movie, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, I missed it.
They're doing, so the 4K disc comes out end of August.
Nice.
And they're doing a special feature that I love called the Raw Cut, which is, so if you've never seen the new Planet of the Apes movies, they're like 90% CGI at this point.
Sure.
Because it's all video capture, motion capture with actors and things like that. Especially this latest one, the Kingdom, where it is much more CGI than in previous ones. But the Raw Cut, what they do is they're actually showing the footage. It's a split screen view of the movie, and they're showing the footage of the mocap.
No way.
Alongside
the green suits and all that.
Wow.
It's in the green suits. It's completely removing all of the CGI,
With the
and so you
dots
see
on
the
them.
action. Yeah, you see the whole thing, and it's like
wild.
that appeals to a very geeky side of me, and I love that. And I haven't actually seen in any real serious manner any of the new Planet of the Apes movies, but it's been on my list for a while, and this may be what gets me to buy this, even though it's the third movie in the trilogy. And so it's like, I'm gonna just come in very raw in this one, but I love that idea. I love doing silly stuff with special features. Like, I was the guy that it took a month to watch Incredibles because of how much special features they had, and all of the interactive stuff that they included on that disc originally, and so this is very exciting to me. It's only on the 4K disc. It's not on the Blu-ray or the DVD. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. That's my positive news, is that somebody's still being super nerdy about a Planet of the Apes movie.
No, that's good. That's good. No, I like it. I missed this last Planet of the Apes movie in theaters, and I hope to catch it. And I'll piggyback off your super positive to talk about my super positive, which will be going to the movies. So in the theater, like, I wasn't in there during COVID. I was isolated for like 3 years or whatever it was. And I finally gotten back into my like AMC subscription where you could like see 3 movies a week, and they include the Dolby stuff in there. Dolby and like the IMAX, those screens and that audio visual experience, there's just nothing like it. Like, I'm kind of hard of hearing, so like you can have the best setup in your home, which is fine. And, you know, I've upgraded my stuff. I have a very nice OLED screen. I have like a sound bar and all that. But to get that, like, there's nothing really like a Dolby or IMAX like experience. So like I've been going, Mega Dads has been starting up a Movie Magic Reviews mini side project. So you're going to be getting movie reviews of all the summer flicks. Me and my buddy Clay are doing them. So coming to your Mega Dads at YouTube feed is going to be reviews of summer movies. So I went and I saw Twisters. I went and saw The Quiet Place Day 1. I went and saw what was the other one? Horizon, the Kevin Costner movie. I went and saw all this stuff, and my super positive is Dolby IMAX or whichever one you want to call it. Like, as long as that shit, like, I went and my mom actually joined me. I was on my way to the theater. I stopped in her house and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go see the movie or whatever. She's like, I want to go. I'm like, all right, sure, yeah, ma, come along. So we get in the theater and the Dolby like, it starts up and I'm like, you know, I really love the Dolby or whatever because it gets like crazy loud. And then it starts up. I'm like, you see, ma, it's way too loud in here. Like, and it was. I'm like, that shit was way too loud, and I loved it. It just adds so much to the movie going experience. I hope it doesn't die out, the theater experience. Jonathan, are you super positive about anything in this shithole of that we call reality? Anything?
I'll tell you what. It kind of similar to what Evan was saying. I lately my life has been a lot of humbling experiences. I'll put it that way. And so I'm still in the midst of all of that. So what I've been doing is you focus inward, right? You know, everything else around you just seems to be kind of going on fire. Then you really focus on, you know, what's close to you. I'm gonna be a dad. I'm gonna bring up my kids. I got 3 of them.
What?
So those are the things that are really the things that I really consider the most positive things in my life. I have one who's grown. He's 20. He's out of the house and all that sort of stuff. He's a wonderful young man. And then I have an 8-year-old, and then I have a under 2-year-old.
You spread this shit out thick.
Yeah, I did. And 8-year-old, I mean, if you look back there, he writes me little notes whenever he thinks I'm having a bad day, just saying, I love you, Daddy, you're my best friend, all these sort of things. And it's just, I recognize a lot of that. Like, I used to do stuff like that, and it's so sweet, and it's so, he really cares a lot about his family and cares a lot about me. And then my daughter is the most assertive, demanding female I have ever met in my life.
Good.
And it's going to serve her so well as she gets older, because she is amazing. And just seeing them interact together. I got a picture the other day of them walking through a store, and they were holding hands and all that sort of stuff. And it was just, I don't know, like I said, look inward. There's a lot of reasons we do the things we do. This is one of the main ones, and I have an opportunity to be able to pay attention to that. So that's kind of the positive that I'm taken away from where I am at right now. So,
ladies and gentlemen, you have my permission right now. Pause the show, cry for about 4 or 5 minutes, just like I want to do right now. That's so endearing. That's so awesome. That's what we want to hear. It does bring like a shining light in our lives. You know, being parents, it's great, right? It's hard work, but it's great, and I'm so glad that you have those experiences. So that's great to hear, Jonathan. That's awesome. Oh, so yeah, that is, if that's the most like super positive stuff that you could have. So that's good. I went on a work trip. I was only gone for 3 nights, and my daughter made like this little like ladybug thing, and she's like, I made this ladybug for you, and it was like a toilet paper roll with like so like it was just it was beautiful. It was like with all this crayon on it and like a heart. She's like, oh, it's just for you, and that's the stuff that just really makes your day. So I'm really glad that you have that experience. All you dads out there, all you moms out there, all you megas, keep going. You got this. Let's talk about some games with our press start segment. Evan, take this one away.
This is me pressing the start. If you're seeing the video,
There you
I'm
go.
Not, like pointing at my. I'm not pointing at my genitals or anything. It's just I'm pressing start. So.
We're gonna have Evan take this one away, and we're gonna have him talk about Zenless Zone Zero. Am I correct that this is Hoyoverse?
This is Hoyoverse. This is the newest one they did. Hoyoverse doing Genshin, or Genshin Impact. They're also doing Honkai Star Rail and a bunch of other games. But Zenless Zone Zero is the latest stupid named game from Hoyoverse. It is another gacha free-to-play game. This one is, as opposed to, so like Genshin is very fantasy, Honkai Star Rail is science fiction. This is modern urban fantasy, I think would be the best way to put it. The way if you've listened to Checkpoint, you've heard me talk about Genshin and made the comparison that like Genshin is very much like Breath of the Wild. And here's your SAT question for the day. If Genshin is to Breath of the Wild as Zenless Zone Zero is to the Persona games, it's very much in that same kind of genre where it's here we're going to do modern day, Tokyo or modern day just kind of urban life, but there's this fantastical element. There's demons or whatever. And that is very much what this is. It's also similar in the sense that there is a time scale. Like there's a day progression, and it's not real time, but it is as you do actions, it moves through the different time slots in the day. So it starts with a morning, and then a mid or an afternoon, and then an evening, and so on and so forth. And so the story kind of progresses automatically, regardless of what you do. And so there's that element to it. But the biggest difference I would say between this and Genshin, which is where I have the most experience, is Genshin's very much about exploration, much more about puzzle solving. Zenless Zone Zero is much more focused on the combat. Honkai Star Rail is kind of along that same progression, where they're doing much more stuff with the combat. This is real time as opposed to Honkai, which is turn based. It's real time, three-person units. There's much more focus on switching. Like you're building combos. Like the combat itself is very slick, very fast, and it's all about building combos as you bounce from squad member to squad member. So you'll have one guy kind of start hitting, and then you'll switch to another one, and that will cause a chain reaction, and you just slowly just kind of just gangbang someone repeatedly with large weapons. But yeah, it's the story itself is still very. The game's only, as we record this, about 2 weeks old. So it has already made something like $50 million for Hoyoverse.
Wow. You're kidding me. Wow. So it's a success.
I'm not
commercially.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The first week was 25, so it was 25 million, and so, but the story's still very, very new, and it's. I think I'm about halfway through the story as it currently exists right now, but it's a lot of your kind of typical urban fantasy tropes. There's evil corporations that are hiding the truth. There is the plucky young survivors that are just trying to make their way in this semi sort of. Not like present apocalypse, because the gimmick in this one is that there are these holes in reality that have opened up in this town, in this city, so everyone has been moved out of the central capital city and to the outskirts, and they're kind of rebuilding the city from there. And they're sending these expeditions into what they call the hollows, which are these holes, and to explore and figure out how to remove them. And all of that. So you kind of play a brother and sister team. You pick if you want to be the girl or the boy as your main, and you play a person that is called a proxy, which is basically someone. So you remember in the Matrix, you remember the guy that would sit back outside the Matrix and feed them information. Yeah. That's right. Who you play.
Sweet.
So you play the operator. Yeah, you play that guy, and so you're sending in squad members, and so the gacha elements where you're kind of randomly drawing for new squad members, things like that. It makes a little more sense in story. Like Genshin, I don't know if they ever explain like what the gacha is doing. Like you can just transform into these people, and you can be someone and talk to them at the same time. Like it doesn't really make a lot of sense. This one is you're hiring people to join your team, and then you just send certain ones into the hollows and do things, and you're on the outside. Overall, I'm enjoying it so far. If you like the Persona games, the vibe is very much in that vein. The music is very modern, especially if you played Persona 5. It's in that kind of cowboy bebop jazz pop kind of Japanese thing that is very cool, that I at least personally enjoy. So the music is there, the writing is enjoyable, the voice acting, the acting is good. The actors seem to be generally crap. If you're following new news with that, there's some controversy amongst the voice acting cast right now, but I won't go into that right now. But yeah, everything, it's super polished. I mean, they earned the 25 million that first week. I mean, they definitely put the money in right now, and Hoyo hasn't really disappointed. I'm playing it on PS5. I've only been playing stuff on PS5. My PC is a potato, so would not run it. And neither of those games are good mobile. Like, I don't, at least for me, I've never been one to really glom onto the on-screen joystick.
Yeah,
I've never been good enough at that, and especially with Zenless Zone Zero, there's so much timing and so much placement and all that. It's like I would drive myself nuts if I tried to do it. So yeah, I've been on PS5. It is PC and mobile right now. It's not on Mac, which is annoying because otherwise I'd play it at work. But other than that, I'm really enjoying it. Go ahead.
Is it? You said it was free, or is it? It's
free to play
on PlayStation. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's free to play on PlayStation on all of them. There was a $10 like pre-order bundle, and that just gave you a bunch of resources. I mean, it's a gacha game, so you're paying for more resources or more more spins at the wheel to unlock characters and things like that. The nice thing is if you get in early, like there's only, I want to say, 15 characters right now. Okay. And I've got about 2/3 of them, and other than that initial $10 that I put in just for the pre-order, I haven't spent any money on this. So it's like I feel like before the next big content drop, I'll be able to get at least the majority of the characters. So like with Genshin, I've got about half of them, but I started in like year 4 of that, so it's I'm obviously well behind the times on that one.
Well, yeah, get in early now. You said it was like 2 weeks old. I mean, I want PlayStation. I'll go download it here probably after we're done. So yeah,
I mean, the nice thing is it's free, so you can play it and you can figure out if you like it. They like a lot of these. There's a ton of Penny Arcade actually had a really good strip about this, where it's like there's a ton of currencies, there's a ton of game modes, there's a ton of just nonsense, and if you bounce off that, or if that's not something you're into, drop it. It
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Do what you kind of want. One thing I've really liked about Genshin, and I expect this to kind of continue with Zenless, is you don't have to be good to play through the story. Like you can be a free-to-play player and play all the content. There's endgame content with both of those that is going to reward people that dump money into developing the characters and doing all of that, but there's no story elements hidden behind. You don't have to buy.
You're not losing anything. Gotcha.
You're not losing anything. You don't have to buy content packs. You don't have to buy any of that stuff. It's just all of the story stuff is free. So that I think is really good. I've played a lot of these kind of free-to-play games where they're locking missions behind paywalls and different things like that. None of that happens in either of the games so far, and I don't expect that to change because they're making enough money. There was a story recently back a couple of years ago. Hoyo invested in started putting money into fusion reactors in China.
Oh.
And they just turned one on. Like they've just turned on a fusion reactor. It's not operated by them. Some of the stories say it's operated by HoYoverse. No, they just put up a bunch of money for it. But yeah, they have got what is generously described as "fuck you" money.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was actually reading Genshin actually passed Star Citizen recently in total development money, like put into it. Wow. And Star Citizen's been in development for like a decade. So like they've got a lot of money and they're not afraid to spend it. So which benefits cheapskates like me. Thank you to the many Chinese players that drop thousands of dollars into this game. I really appreciate it.
So these gacha games, we know that people like Adam play, the Honkai, or he's tried Honkai, but he really got into Genshin, and they're really good, especially for the free to play price tag, and they're using the revenue that they're bringing in to make more games. Because as soon as I heard that this was another game from the same developer, I was like, how do they manage that? But of course, they're like, let's birth another golden goose to keep generating money, and it makes sense. Now,
well, there was a major content drop in Genshin, like the 3 days after Zenless released. Like they're still doing stuff, everything. Yeah, they're keeping them all alive.
So they're investing in all of their cash cows to keep them all churning out money. So that seems like a good business plan. Yeah. Is there a saturation danger in these gacha games, do you think? Because at this point, I know that they have different gameplay styles and what they're trying to deliver. But did you feel like Zenless Zone Zero was like, okay, this is still good, but I think they should slow it down? Like, what would another, like, I guess, fourth huge game be? You know, like, does this still have the magic to keep you going? I know that a lot of people were not so into the Honkai Star Rail gameplay, the turn-based, as the action ARPG, as, you know, in the, what was the first one? I just said it like 4 times.
Well, there's Genshin's probably the first big one. They had a few games before that.
So it's action, turn-based, and is this turn-based as well?
No, this is real time, and it's so where Genshin is in a lot of weird ways. Zenless is a synthesis of the two, because it's the real time combat of Genshin, but with Honkai, especially because it's turn-based, all of the battles are very atomized, where it's like here, it's the classic JRPG thing where you go into, you're doing the overworld and then bam, you're fighting someone, and then you go back into the overworld. This is very much the same thing, where there are these discrete sections of fighting that you do. And like each one of those, like the missions, they're going to take you 5-10 minutes, and then you go back to kind of the overworld stuff, and so I think, in terms of saturation, I think they did something very smart, or they're doing something very smart in my mind, to help prevent that, in that the different games are not really connected to each other. And I think why that's a good thing is it prevents people, prevents psychopaths like myself who feel like, well, if they're connected, that means I need to be playing everything in order to keep with the story, right? And that would burn me out faster than anything. This is, they're all very much within their own universe. There's obvious kind of connections, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories about other connections and things like that. But within themselves, like, you don't need to have played any of the other games to enjoy this one game.
You can just drop in and play.
You can drop in and out, and Zenless is really smart, where like all these games typically have like daily things they want you to do. And Genshin is, you can do all of them in, depending on where you are in the game, but in about a half hour, I would say, maybe 45 minutes a day. So it's not insignificant, but it's not terrible. Zenless, you can do all your dailies in about 10 minutes.
Oh wow!
And okay. so if you want to just come in just to kind of keep your group kind of on pace, you can get in and out in 15 minutes easy. And so they're very smart about, if you don't have the time, you don't want to invest heavily into this, you can play 15-20 minutes a day and be fine with it, and even less if you really want to, because like the daily awards aren't super, it's more stuff, but it's not like, you're not going to feel like you're really missing out too much. You're not going to be too far behind the curve. The other smart thing is that none of these are PvP in any way. So you're not. So you're only competing. You're only competing for dick measuring. Basically, it's my team can beat this boss in 35 seconds, while my team can beat it in 33. It's shit like that. But you're not competing against anyone, so you don't feel like you have to keep your team up to be viable. There's a meta, but it's a weird meta, because again, you're not fighting anyone. So I don't really know how that's a meta, but it is what it is. So I think you could very easily burn out, because there's a shit ton of content to deal with. But I think it is much more forgiving than a lot of online games, in terms of being respectful of your time. But if you can't stomach, like, here's 7 different currencies, all done different, all called different things, and none of it makes any sort of sense logically. It's like, oh, why am I like, you recruit people by finding VHS tapes and doing something like it doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, if you can handle that, then you're fine.
Yep. Jonathan, do you stand on the Hoyoverse or gacha games in general? Have you played Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail or even Zenless? Have you played any of these games at all?
No, actually I haven't. Like, what would define like a gacha game?
They tend to have, I feel like it was a birthplace on mobile, but they have many currencies that you would earn. It's all about getting you to play a little bit more to earn that little badge or that little star, that little like nugget of gems in order to unlock the next thing.
Yeah, and typically gacha games are defined by, they want you to build a large roster of characters. Gacha is Japanese. I forget what it directly translates to, but it's basically like you're gambling. You are putting money in a machine and it will spit out something. And so what they want you to do is they want you to collect as many of the characters as possible and play as much as you can. You know, from their perspective, their job is to give you just enough so that you want to spend money on more stuff.
So you'll have a free-to-play title, but then you'll like pay money to unlock characters or a stronger weapon or a currency that you can put into a machine, and then you pull the machine and then it like randomly generates a ball and you open it up, and what's in the treasure chest? It's like, oh, you got 3 rares and an ultra rare.
Right.
And that's kind of how it goes. And Hoyoverse in general, this developer that is making these games typically has this anime style. They've now done different, like the first one, the most renowned, I should say, with the Genshin Impact, was like this action ARPG, like that was kind of had Breath of the Wild vibes. And then they went to this turn-based with the what was the train one? Honkai Star Rail.
Honkai Star Rail.
And then we have Zenless Zone Zero. So they are leading the way and trailblazing a lot and making a lot of these games very quickly, which is what's surprising me. But do you typically play a lot of free-to-play games in general? Do you buy battle passes and like blind boxes and stuff, or is that not really your thing, Jonathan?
Not really my thing, unless it's like, so what you're describing to me is like a Candy Crush game, essentially.
It could be.
The model of it, like not really the, you know, the playing and all that, but, you know, they have the same type of mechanics. Like, you can go and you earn enough points that you can go to this little area here, and if you spin the wheel, you get free life things, and then you can pay 99 cents to, you know, all that. So I can go into a lot more detail, and then I can detail how much money I've lost. So I tend to stay away from that, because I fall in really easily to the, oh yeah, it's $5, whatever. You know, click that, and then, you know, 2 hours later I've spent $50, and it's like, what the so yeah, I in general stay away from it. What's interesting to me though is that they're kind of expanding that to different types of games. Like, that to me is a good business move, because you're targeting a more hardcore gamer than the person who's just going to download Candy Crush on their phone or something like that, and they're probably going to be more likely to spend much more money for these types of things. So it makes sense to me. I don't particularly care for that model, because again, I lose money, and I think it's a little predatory, but I mean,
I don't think
we live in a capitalist society.
I don't think any of us like it. Even the people that play the games and invest in it here and there, I don't think Evan would say he likes it. It's just, it's there, and you fall into it, and you fall prey to it. Like, I played Genshin Impact quite a bit, and I didn't put, I think I did actually a little bit on them once it was like easy to click and I figured out how to do it, but I didn't spend too much money on it at all. And I like the fact that they give it to you on the free-to-play platter, and then what they're really doing is they know that the whales are out there. And just like Evan alluded to, he's like, thank you to all the players out there who aren't me, who's dropped like hundreds and hundreds of dollars on this game. They are out there, and this is a segment of the gaming population who's always going to have more disposable income than others, and they're going to keep it lucrative and going, and they're kind of paying the way for some of us who don't want to spend the money. So I don't know. I mean, it's not the best. It's kind of annoying. I do not like when there's like 12 currencies in the game. Like usually when I downloaded like a game on the, you know, Apple Store or whatever it is, I'll look at a mobile game and it's like, oh, here's your blue currency and your yellow and your red and your ultra rare rainbow currency and all this stuff. Right. And I'm just like, oh, it like ruins a lot of games because it's like, this is the way that makes money. So now all games have to be this way. And it's kind of annoying. So it giveth and it taketh away. It's not for everybody, you know. It's definitely not. If you're out there and you do have the time and you're not going to spend your life savings, then go ahead and try out these Hoyoverse games because they're actually good. They are good games, and they're bones.
The Hoyo games, you know, I think what makes them successful, in addition to the fact that they're not afraid, because I mean the Candy Crush example is really good because you think about how much that costs to develop versus how much they're bringing in, and then you look at like a Hoyo game, like the Hoyo games, you know, Genshin and these, they are, if not AAA level, like close to it in terms of the voice acting, in terms of the writing, in terms of they're definitely high quality. They're definitely putting that money in. And I think another thing that's made Hoyo successful is, yes, they have those predatory elements, but they have done a lot in sanding off the edges of that, and so that it's that you like. I've played Genshin now. Since December of last year, so like about 6 months or about 8 months now. And I've spent nothing on it, and yet I've played through all of the content. I still play it every day. I'm still enjoying it, and I don't feel deprived. And I think that's a good place to be. And in the sense of, I enjoy this game because I've played most of these games because I am a degenerate gambler, like Jonathan, you know. But I've been able to be like, yeah, I'm not spending money for this, and I've played games that are much more mercenary about it, much more obnoxious about, we want your money, you know, this is all the things you're missing out on this. I mean, obviously Hoyo's got those elements, but it's also like, there's still a lot to do here, and you don't feel deprived by being free to play. So just stay off the internet of them, though. Stay out of the communities. I'll just say that. They're not, you know, Genshin's not horrible, but good goddamn.
Let's move on from gaming talk to what I like to call headlines. So, talking about the latest, greatest gaming news. Now, gaming is not in a good state. Just overall. Okay, so I'm gonna
other than Hoyo. Yeah. Other than Hoyo. Like everyone else,
yeah.
So a little tidbit information that we have, a little mini headline, and this is just recently, as if we were recording, is Bethesda Game Studios becomes the first Microsoft developer to unionize under the Communication Workers of America, CWA. So of course this is a good thing. Bethesda has been acquired. Obviously, we have Xbox now at the helm, and whether it be Phil Spencer as the mouthpiece or whatever other news you've heard, you really haven't heard anything other than Microsoft saying that they are not going to union bust. And the fact that this is happening is good news, that it seems like they're not going to be the corporate overlords with the iron fist that are going to be putting a stop to anything like that. You know, it looks like the days of the super toxic, Blizzard Activision days are over if they're going to allow good things like this. So that's number one. Good headline, right? Good news piece. I think we're all in, favor of unionization. If you're listening to this and you don't know that unions are good, or you think that they are bad, you need to re-educate yourself, motherfucker. But the other,
look at how many people are looking for jobs right now, not in just the gaming industry and just even the peripheral for tech industries. Unions are needed. That's why they came about. That's why we have weekends. Yeah,
absolutely. 40-hour work week, child labor laws, all this stuff is that unfettered capitalism with no guardrails isn't good. You need to have some rules in place. You need to tell people, hey, we need to treat people right. You have all the workers coming together and saying, you know what, we want healthcare, we want, better pay, we want, time off, we want, guards against being able to, work us to the bone and crunch time and things like that. So this is a good thing. And again, it's just an education thing about knowing that, unfortunately, the fact is that, big corporations and anyone in a capitalist society, if you're at the helm of the the board or whatever it is, you're gonna just seek to crush everything in the sake of like furthering profit. And you really don't want to do that, because humans are part of the mix. We're the lifeblood. We're the people. These people are human beings, flesh and blood, and they're making the things that we love. So let's support them. Let's get behind it. Now the negative part of the news, slightly, is kind of in three little parts. So what happened is Microsoft Xbox have reinvigorated, redone their Game Pass tiers, and they're announcing that they're getting rid of the old classic. They're splitting it up, and they're releasing a chart about how, what you can get in each tier, and the price is also going up. As a result of that, not only the changes and the price increase or whatever, the FTC came in, and the FTC is blasting Microsoft's new degraded Game Pass standard tier and the price increase as a negative thing. So being the regulator that they are, they had just lost a big case against them. They're trying to stick it to them one more time and saying, we didn't forget about you. You're increasing your prices and you're taking away choice, and your product is degraded. So I need to ask you, Jonathan, I am a big Xbox person. Of all the mega dads, I am deep in the Xbox ecosystem, and a lot of what I play, a lot of the way that I save money, a lot of the way that I'm able to stay in the gaming ecosystem is via Xbox Game Pass. I love it. I always have. I always will. I got jazzed when the Bethesda stuff came in and the day one stuff comes in. To a lesser extent, COD coming in. It's cool that it is. I'm not a huge COD person, but it's great. Do you subscribe to Game Pass, or are you in the Xbox ecosystem at all?
So I was until about, I want to say about a year or two ago, and I converted completely over to PlayStation.
Dun dun dun.
I know, with PS Plus. The reason why is honestly is the exclusivity for what Sony has. Although I think that's becoming a bigger conversation right now, even more. But I when we were talking about Fallout 3 and all that, whenever I first got back into gaming, that was the reason why, is being able to get Game Pass and be able to have those games. And really, if I ever wanted to boot it back up, or my 20-year-old has the Xbox, so I just go over there and I can log back in. I have access to all those Game Pass games if I reinstate it. So I think that's pretty. I think that was. It was a good. It was a good way to get in there. It's a good way to, like you said, to save money, play some games on day one, that sort of stuff. So, I switched over, like I said, because I think I just like PlayStation a little bit better right now. But yeah, that was what got me back into gaming, to be honest. So yeah.
It you can't deny, from someone like me who went from buying the new title every month or every other month, right? I'm dropping $60. That's how I was. I was like, let's go. This is the new game. Play it for a month and a half or two. And then the new game was coming out. And then, right around the holiday, now I'm dropping like $3, to get the latest, greatest holiday releases. And it was too much for me to keep up with once I became a dad, once the budget was out there. Then when it became the subscription, it's like $14.99, now going up to like $24.99, whatever it is. Right. Now, as it's creeped up, it's still more beneficial for me to get my gaming fix, get out there, play the games, the day one. I have to be in the day one tier because that's what makes sense to me, because I don't want to be left behind in that way. The fact that these new tiers are now saying, oh yeah, we got a tier, but it's not going to have the day one stuff, which was, I think, their biggest selling point. It seems like a misstep to me. Like, what they call core, it's like, oh, we have like whatever it is, 26 titles and that's it. It's like, oh, like I feel like this is a misstep being a fan of the service and what's been going on, you really want to keep it simple. Like, keep it simple, stupid is like the marketing way. And for some reason, they're just listening to someone else in these meetings that are just like, you know what? Here's what we do. Let's slice up the product. Like, oh, won't it be confusing to people? Nah, it'll be fine. They'll figure it out. It's just like, it's like they don't care about that. They don't care about like their biggest selling point being the day one. It's like, come on now. Like sunsetting the one that they've always had. It's like, this is not what people are into. This is not what's going to gain you loyalty in the long run. But it seems like all that is kind of gone on the wayside for just the end bottom line business decision. You see the shifting tides at Microsoft that they're going to get away from all this. It's like, oh, you need a console. They're like, well, not necessarily. You know, we may be, you know, rethinking that. It's like, oh, we want to treat our gamers, you know, the best and give them like the most for their money. It's like, well, can we actually pare these things down and chop it up in a way where the product is more in line with like what we're offering for dollar? It's like, there was supposed to be the best value in gaming, and I just feel like they're gonna be losing that in some way. I don't know. I see this all as negative. The FTC is crazy. They're like a bloodhound over here. They're like, oh, we didn't forget about you guys. Like, you guys, you know, thought we weren't going to give you any more shit for your business decisions. I'm like, FTC needs to like stop wasting our, you know, government money and just, you know, get off the case. Like, this is not the most pressing thing. I thought that they should. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, Evan, any thoughts on this? On the price increase, the new tiers, the getting rid of the other tier, all this shit. Any thoughts, Evan?
Well, I think there's a bit of context that we've kind of, I don't know if we've glossed over to ever, but the as far as the FTC is concerned, so the FTC, when they say they're blasting them, so this is part of a larger context. That this is all about the Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger. And so basically what the FTC is saying, I mean, when they say they blasted them, and I kind of hate this journalistic style, but what they did is basically they filed a motion, because there's this ongoing thing where they are trying to, basically they are trying to complain about the fact that the merger is being allowed to go through, or has gone through. And what this filing was that they're talking about is basically like, see, this is exactly what we said would happen.
Yes.
Right.
This is why we fought this originally, was like, they're going to do this shit, and lo and behold, they went and did it. And that's kind of where FTC is coming from. They're just like, see what we're talking about? Because yes, the merger has gone through, but there's still this kind of open-ended case that still hasn't finished. So that, you know, I feel like as a proper lefty, I have to defend the government in this particular sense. But you know, from that perspective, they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And even if they know that it's futile, I think they need to get this kind of stuff on the record, just so that, you know, for future cases. As far as like the actual like nuts and bolts of the story, I mean, it's kind of what you said. It's like it's the story of in-shitification all over again. It's we're gonna give you this new cool thing, but once it gets popular, we're gonna slowly take it back from you, and that's really what it is. And it's the Netflix model. It's I mean
everything model.
I mean it's the everything model. Yeah, every service you can think of has done this in some fashion. And some of it is just the way it works, you know, in terms of, you know, the more popular you get, the more your expenses go up, and you have to reevaluate things. And, you know, there's that. There's also the whole thing of, oh, we're publicly traded now. That changes how we have to do business. You know, there's a lot of factors in this. I don't use Game Pass, so I have no skin in the game regardless. I do have the PlayStation equivalent. And I can tell you from my experience, so when I had lost my job, one of the first things that went was because it just so happened that my yearly subscription ended while I was still employed. And so I'm like, I'm going to let that go, because, you know, it's hard to justify that despite the fact that I have all this free time. And it was amazing to me how much of the stuff I was already playing was like how reliant I had gotten on this on the PlayStation version while I had it, because it was like suddenly 2/3 of my game library was gone. And just because I wasn't part of this service anymore. And it really made me kind of think about, you know, there is this ongoing discussion just with digital goods in general about what is ownership anymore, and what is, you know, do I own this, or what are my rights as far as this is concerned. And yeah, it's I understand. It's like I kind of understand both sides of things, because I don't know how many times when Game Pass first started, at some point the conversation always turned to, how the hell is Microsoft going to afford this long term?
Yeah.
Like what are they, like, this can't be, like, it's good for them in terms of getting themselves out there and, you know, getting their, you know, keeping a bit of momentum on their library when they were getting their ass handed to them by Sony. But it's like there was always that question. It's like, how is this going to be good for them long term? And we're starting to see how it's going. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not super surprised. You know, I'm as mad about this as I am about everything in terms of how capitalism works nowadays. So you know, take that for what it's worth, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm with you. Yeah.
No, I was
going to say yeah. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Best value in gaming is not sustainable in the long term. That was all I was to say. I mean, there was no way that it could be. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean, it alludes to what you were saying earlier about just physical media in general. I mean, you know, to put all those special features on a physical disc and send it out is much, much more expensive than slapping it on Prime Video for $19.99. And so I think that type of thinking, and like you said, digital versus you know, actual ownership, it gets reflected upwards all the way through to where, you know, you have studio heads, gaming studio heads, tech people in general who have the thought of, well, why do we have to provide all of that if not everyone wants it? They just want the content. What's the easiest way we can give it out there and the cheapest way to do it? And there's no focus on the creative side.
Yeah.
And there's no focus on the quality of the work that's put out there. And it's not just something that I think is affecting the tech and gaming industry. I think it's something that happens to the entertainment industry kind of as a whole. But I think, like you said, I think with the tech industry and by extension the gaming industry, the bill is kind of coming due to a lot of that. And especially with streaming and all that sort of stuff, where Netflix is, you know, jacking up the price, and a lot of these, you know, places are, hey, that those tier that you had no ads, no, we need to put ads in there because we need to afford it now. So, yeah, I mean, rambling on all of that just to say and agree with Evan, yeah, it all kind of sucks right now. And it really is, it's one of those things where I wish we could take a turn to, you know, a more focus on the creative. You know, we were talking about the gacha games. Just the fact that they even provide any sort of quality is fantastic, but kind of a low bar. I mean, that's where we're at this point. Yeah. You know, I mean, you just said they have people who can spend millions and millions of dollars at a drop of the hat for whatever, and we're happy that they give us a playable game for free. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, and the gaming industry in general has always existed in this weird crossroads between the tech industry and the entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. Like it's kind of subject to the goofiness of both.
Of both, yeah.
And both industries are kind of in a shit tornado lately, and so it's like, of course, there's going to be weird knock-on effects for the gaming industry, and so yeah, it's fun times all the way around.
Like I think, you know, we thank our lucky stars that someone at Hoyoverse didn't get into like that meeting. They were like, oh well, let's start cutting corners. You know what I mean? Like let's degrade the product. You know, because it's good. These games are good, but they could totally fuck it up. And
oh yeah,
you know, for something like Xbox Game Pass, it's like they need to keep delivering where that day one even matters, where it's like our new stuff from our studios that have been cooking things for all these years. Let us, you know, keep that bar up. But if it doesn't stay up and they're raising the price and it's just like, we're going to rest on our laurels and Call of Duty is going to be enough to justify this and that's it, I'm not going to be happy with that in the long term. So we'll see.
And lest anyone think that we're all up on Hoyo's jock right now. I mean, Genshin and all these games, they've got their mistakes. They've made their mistakes. They've made decisions that are clearly designed to raise money at the expense of gameplay. Like there's tons of these stories out there. So it's like I don't want anyone to have the impression that like we're thinking that these guys are like they've got it solved and they're thank you our Chinese overlords. They're absolutely committing a lot of these same sins that these other companies are doing, but they have the benefit of also having really good product aside from that. And for me personally, and I know for a lot of people, especially on the free-to-play side, the second that the gameplay and the production value dips below a certain level, we're out.
Yeah.
Like we don't care.
I hope so.
It's no skin off our nose if this game that I've put 900 hours into Genshin already. And if they decided to radically change the how things are played and how you pay for things and the cost of things, then I'm out and I'm fine with that. There's definitely shady stuff going on, and in all of these things, and so you got at some point you just have to advocate for yourself and realize that there is so much game out there. There's so much to the gaming industry. You can afford to not be part of some of it if it doesn't work for you.
True.
So
yeah,
true.
Very true.
You know what that sound is, everybody. That's the caboose. And that's the end of the show. And at the end of the show, we bring one recommendation of something that's outside of gaming or inside of gaming. It doesn't really remember. To share with the community. So we want to recommend something that we think would strike your fancy because it's struck in our fancy. I mentioned that I've been going to the movies a lot more lately, and I did see a number of movies, and I saw Twisters. And I think of the 3 movies that I saw just this last week or so, Twisters was the one to see. So I wouldn't recommend A Quiet Place Day 1 or Kevin Costner's Horizon Western Epic. Of the 3, Twisters probably was the most watchable movie. And I'm not going to oversell it, but I'm just going to say, hey, if you already have AMC Pass, if you already have the time to kill and you're going to go to the movies anyway, I would say that Twisters is good, especially in Dolby when you're just listening to the howl of that wind when those storms are coming. And there's some like super sad moments in those flicks, man, where like the stakes are high. Not the whole time, but a couple of times they got me with the heartstrings and the just like, this is devastating. Like this is crazy. So I don't think that, spoiler alert, I don't think that Twisters holds a candle to the original Twister movie, but it's decent. I'll give it that. So it'll be a half recommendation from me. Evan, what do you recommend for our caboose?
When does this come out?
Twisters came out.
I mean the show. When does this come out?
This will come out Friday, so this will be the 26th.
26th?
Yeah.
26th.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to have 2 because there's a Kickstarter that is ending on Friday. So if you hear this on the day it comes out, if you go to Kickstarter and you search for End of the Line, it's a card game put out by a good friend of mine. It's the 2nd edition game is coming out. The Kickstarter ends on the 26th, so you may already miss it. But regardless, still check this game out. It's a fabulous game. It works well with the Fallout vibe that we've talked about because it is a game about the end of the world and having your family survive. And it's all about getting into lines, getting into supply lines, and possibly killing your family members. So it's a very dark humor game. It's a fabulous game. It's what got me the first edition of the game got me involved with the company to begin with. So I've been a fan since the beginning. But that 2nd edition. But again, that Kickstarter ends on Friday. So it'll probably be over by the time you hear this. But there's still the name of the company is called Fight in a Box. So if you just Google them,
End of the Line, post-apocalyptic family survival, 2nd edition. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Looks good.
It is. It's fabulous. But assuming that you're not listening to this in the half hour over that between when this comes out and when the Kickstarter ends, I'm gonna give a shout out to the generic brands at Aldi. I don't know if, depending on where you are in the country, you may or may not have Aldis, but we've discovered as a family Aldi in the last probably 6 months or so, and despite the fabulous lies at the beginning of the show that I'm looking better, I am a snack monster. I am a snack monster completely, and so there's always something in the house, and the Aldi brands are all like fantastic. They've got, like, the chips are amazing, and the pretzels are good, and like every generic snack food you can think of, they're always good. So and they're like always half the price of the other places. So shout out to Aldi.
It's hard out there, guys. Yeah,
it is hard out there. But
Aldi is good. No, I'm not gonna lie. We started a couple years ago actually with Aldi, and I get what you mean about like the snack foods, because it was amazing to me, because you think that it's a discounted thing, it's gonna like taste like, somebody decided, again, quality, right? It's like, let's keep that quality up where it's like people are gonna want to buy this. And there's all sorts of things out there that are good. You can get like a thing of like they have their own like fruit and vegetable section that's actually like decent. I don't know if they're putting preservatives and shit in it, I don't know. I'm just saying that it looks decent when we go. But shout out to Aldi. Good recommendation, Evan. Good job. Jonathan, any recommendation for our listeners?
Yeah, I had a couple, and I was really excited to hear that you go to the movie theater a lot, because that's one of my passions actually. I had Alamo Drafthouse, I had their monthly pass and all that sort of stuff. So I haven't been able to go to the theater lately until this past week, and I saw 2 movies, and both of them I would actually highly recommend. Something you'll find out about me, most horror content I'm into. Horror movies, horror books, horror games, all that sort of stuff. You can see the posters behind me. So I saw Maxine this week, which is it is the third in the trilogy, directed by Ty West. First one was X, Pearl was the prequel, and then Maxine is the third movie with Mia Goth. Fantastic movie, great movie, well made. Looks like a 1980s movie through and through, and it feels like one. Like he does such a great job. It's a horror movie, it's gory, it's slasher, so if you're not in the mood for that, it's not going to be your thing. But if you are, I tell you what, come October 31st, this is going to be one you want to watch for sure.
Sweet.
And the other one was Longlegs, and I saw that this morning, and I am almost obsessed, because it was Nicolas Cage as the villain, the titular villain. It was perfect use of Nicolas Cage in the movie. I don't want to say too much about it, but it's, I mean, if you're into like Twin Peaks or Silence of the Lambs type movie, that's the feel of it. It was really good. So those are my 2 recommendations. So but yeah, that was definitely into both of those this week.
Sweet, good recommendations, Jonathan. Finally, somebody who's not a scared little bitch. Talking to you, Adam. If you ever listen to this, he can't do any like horror stuff. Like he plays Resident Evil, and that's like pretty much it.
As soon as my wife had a kid, she dropped out all of my horror stuff. I'm like, oh no, now I don't have a buddy.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another exciting episode of Mega Dads Live. Before we go, I'm sorry, Evan needs to say something.
I was going to say something. So I want to point out, we mentioned many times that Jonathan is the newest Mega Dad. And why he's the newest Mega Dad, or the method by which he is the new Mega Dad, is he's actually going to be my new co-host on the revamped Checkpoint. For people that don't or that have been paying attention, we haven't really done Checkpoint that much, and a lot of that has to do with my own schedule, the aforementioned unemployment and all of that. But also, it's just I kind of wanted to redevelop that idea, and so we're ready to relaunch the show. We're going to be taking a new name. We're going to be going to be calling it Megadad's Overworld, simply because we're going to be changing the focus on it, rather than talk about so much like reviews and things like that. We're going to talk about the wider world of gaming. So we're going to lean more on the interview side of things, the guests, and I'm really looking forward to this. And Jonathan has perhaps stupidly agreed to be my second chair in this. So that's why Jonathan's on it, and I want to thank him not only for coming on this show, but also for joining us for this new venture that we've got coming.
Mega Dad's Overworld. Jonathan and Evan taking the world by storm. Stop the presses. We want to give a shout out to listener Lychy0622. That's Lichy 0622. Joined the Discord after listening to Megadads for a very long time, popped in, decided to say hello, decided to chat with us about games, decided to let us know how much he enjoyed all of our recent programming. He listened to Megadads Live. He's listened to the Fallout Fans little mini podcast that we did when we were reviewing the Fallout TV show on Amazon. So we wanted to thank you for listening, Lychy 0622. I'm not sure what your actual name is, but it doesn't matter. He's in the Discord. He's chatting with us. Thank you so much for being part of the community. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us for another exciting episode of Megadads Live. We'll catch you next time. And just thank you, everybody who's listening. If you've not joined our Discord, check it out. If you go to Megadads on YouTube, all of our videos have a link in the description section, which you can go ahead and click on that, get into the Discord community, and chat with games about us anytime. Thank you, Jonathan, for joining us, being the newest Megadad. Evan, for repopulating the earth, being fruitful and multiplying over here. Thank you for doing that. He's not shooting blanks, people. We have proof. We have proof.
Can we please do one Megadad with that doesn't talk about my
We talked about our dicks the last episode. I was going to bring that up. We talked about our dicks last episode. And then,
it's really not that remarkable. We don't need to be bringing it up that much.
And now we're talking about our dicks again. Thank you, everybody.
Oh,
we'll see you next time.